Folklife. It's wonderful to be here. Today I am going to be reading about a Seattle organization that I was one of the founders of, and I am wearing one of their t-shirts, so I just want to show you. The Babes Network. So in 1921, Pause magazine repeated this from June 1991. ACT UP runs a full-page ad in the New York Times that reads, "Women don't get AIDS, they just die from it," in large type. The smaller text details the CDC's refusal to expand the definition of AIDS to include diseases that infect women. So my piece is titled Babes with AIDS. After I learned I was HIV positive, I needed emotional support from other HIV positive women. The groups I attended at Seattle AIDS Support Group were composed of gay men with an occasional woman. Women have different needs than men. We have periods, menstrual blood, menopause, pregnancy. Providers treat us different, and because of male bias, we are not in enough studies. We're ruled out because of hormones and the fact that we have childbearing potential. These are some of the things I needed to understand that men did not discuss. Having been in women's groups in the lesbian community and in writing groups with women, I yearned to explore what an HIV diagnosis meant for women with women. The director of SASG, which is the Seattle AIDS Support Group, was helpful. I asked if there were other positive women interested in a women's group. She passed on my information to Cass Anderton. She was gathering names of women and organizing a get-together. Early 1990, a small group of women met at her house in Northeast Seattle. Cass had a vision. She wanted women with an HIV diagnosis to have peer support with immediate access to other positive women after getting their test result. She suggested we form a peer support organization. Our small group of regulars founded the Babes Network to fulfill this vision. Some nights, 5 of us showed up, other nights 7 or 8. Seattle King County Public Health was the route to apply for a grant. Once we knew the deadline, we got serious. We huddled around a computer writing, each of us throwing out words or sentences. One of us polished it and it was submitted on time. Those early Babe meetings were filled with laughter, tears, and true expression. Hanging out in Cass's living room with plates of food, we talked an endless stream. Cooking stressed some of the women, so Cass said, "Bring your favorite takeout." So we did. It was empowering to be with a group of HIV positive women. Hanging out, calling ourselves Babes with AIDS, became our adult girl club. Barb wrote and sang AIDS songs. Cass, our hostess, was perfect. She wanted us to do a performance piece telling our HIV stories. Barb wanted giant dental dams. I wanted to make greeting cards. "Dying to meet you," Cass threw out, laughing, getting us started on a roll. Sue photographed our event, and we watched her for 4 minutes on the news talking about living with AIDS. Pat told a string of jokes and drove me home at the end. Our time together was therapeutic, filled with spirit. Jessie lived 6 blocks from Cass. She said she'd be the director of Babes and was excited at the prospect of quitting her job at a hardware store. Allie Hunter, our ACT UP lesbian, and Cass cried because there was so much interest in forming an organization. Kristen said quiet. She brought a cheeseburger and milk she was too sick to eat. Whitney worked at Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. As I was exiting my job there and starting a new job at the Northwest AIDS Foundation, also called NWAF for short. I brought broccoli with oyster sauce, Barb macaroni and cheese from Safeway. We ate like queens. Pat said we should videotape one of our parties. Sue stepped up. What do you think I'm doing? We repeated our stories like broken tapes because they were important. Hospital tales, 9 goldfish in an IV bag, making up questions and answers for intakes at hospitals. Cass jammed on this, and at our next gathering, she passed out an intake form we filled out in hysterics. Girls talk cheered us up. Insider jokes and gallows humor about our deadly disease. The best thing about Babes was being able to laugh. We held each other above the stigma in society. Babes created a place to be with others who understood. Our name was a declaration. We may have HIV or AIDS, but we are still women, still sexy, still babes. Some people suggested we change our name. They implied hints of sexism in calling ourselves babes, but we embraced the term, like the gay community embraced the word gay and queer. We believed the name babes had power. Mary Daly's writing showed how lesbians reclaimed the word dyke. The Babes Network was declared by us, the founding group, a rowdy, fun group who knew who we were. We had a vision. Working at NWAF, I found insider information. A letter addressed to Seattle King County Public Health was sitting on the copier. Inquisitive, I picked it up and noticed it was from the executive director. The letter outlined a case against funding a women's organization for an HIV peer support group. In brief, it said NWAF provided programs for women, so another organization was not needed. The executive director was working under a scarcity model with funding concerns. Bringing this information back to the Babes, we formed a letter writing campaign reaching out to a wide base of women across the state. We barraged Seattle King County Public Health with letters about the need for a peer support organization. Private about my status, I wrote mine using the pseudonym Virginia Woolf. On December 29th, 1991, exactly 2 years after learning my HIV status, Cass called me at work to give me the good news. We got $11,000 for the startup of our peer support organization, the Babes Network. Our campaign worked. I wanted to shout, but had to keep it locked inside at work. It was a big deal. Pat and I were committed to being on the board. Jess was ready to work as the program director. We were successful, and I was the undercover sleuth. Babes would become a nonprofit organization. Babes Network still exists. It's now under the roof and programs of the YWCA, downtown Seattle. Thank you.